Hello there! Welcome to my show, COVID-19 Update by Heerak for July 10, 2020. This is Friday, so TGIF, TGIF. Yeah, hope you're looking forward to a great weekend. Weekends are always great, especially when you have a happy National Pina Colada Day to kick off your weekend. Yes, today is happy Pina Colada Day. So make yourself a nice Pina Colada or order one for yourself. Um, it's a great drink. I like Pina Coladas. You know, uh, yeah, I mean, when you think about Pina Coladas, you think about suntan oil, you know, uh, melting on the body of a beautiful Venus, goddess Venus, uh, and you imagine a beautiful beach in Florida or California or Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, or Virginia Beach, Ocean City, or New Jersey Beach, or more exotic places like beach in Greece or Caribbean, French Riviera, or the Spanish Riviera. I love Europe. I love going to the Spanish Riviera. My favorite place, as you know, is Mallorca, Palma de Mallorca, which people call German paradise. It's actually open for summer. So I'm sure there are a lot of Germans there now just having fun. Fun in the sun in the Spanish Riviera. Palma de Mallorca. Yeah, I don't. I know French and German, Hebrew and Korean, but I don't know Spanish really. So, but I go to Mallorca and I tend to hang out with Germans. I speak German to them. It's called the German paradise, Mallorca. I love Mallorca. I like Spanish people too, but Germans, they are the Aryan race. So the most beautiful women are German. you know, what can I say? I love German women, but yeah, I'm single. As you can see, I'm not married. You know, well, I'm hoping God will send me a beautiful, Aryan race looking woman to marry. you know, well, we'll see. She has to be a good Christian. Um, as you know, being a racist is not sin. Jesus is a racist, so I have no problem marrying a woman who's a racist, white supremacist, as long as she's willing to marry me. She can think of me as racially inferior, but but she still has to treat me like her husband, in the Christian sense of the term. But as long as she does that, I don't care if she's a racist or her family members like KKK and Aryan Nation. I have no problem with that. Because America protects uh, your right to believe what you want, right to associate with who you want. So you have the right to associate with KKK members, Aryan Nation members if you're white. You have the right to associate with Black Lives Matter members if you're black, or Black Panthers or other black nationalist movements. Um, yeah, you can do what you want. This is America. One thing you can't do is be a homosexual, according to God's law, that is, because Romans chapter 1 is very clear that you cannot be a homosexual. God promises wrath for homosexuality. And I'm saying, and I believe that the Bible backs me up on this, that COVID-19 is God's punishment of America for homosexuality. Because God promised wrath upon people who practice homosexuality or kind of allow it by law. And so God is punishing America for homosexuality. It's just fulfillment of Romans chapter 1, because God's law is absolute and it's required of all nations and all peoples, whether you believe in Jesus or not. There are certain moral codes that every nation is supposed to enforce. And that is why all the religions of the world whether you're Christian, Jewish, Islam, Hindu, Buddhist, if you follow the traditional textual religion of your religious tradition, then you would oppose homosexuality or gay marriage. So it just comes to show you what the Romans chapter 1 says is right. God's law is written in people's hearts. That's why all the religions oppose homosexuality and gay marriage. There's a reason for that. Yeah, but as long as it's not homosexuality, which is a crime worse than first-degree murder in God's law, and we can see that in Deuteronomy, Leviticus, Numbers, and throughout the New Testament, online epistles. As long as, it's not homosexuality, you have the freedom of right to say what you want. Obviously, you don't have the freedom of right to talk about first-degree murder either. In any kind of a horrific crime, like homosexuality or first-degree murder, you don't have the right to espouse or endorse or support. But other than that, you have freedom of speech under the First Amendment. So if you're a black nationalist, more power to you. I'm an independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. Fight for your right to be a black nationalist, Black Panther, Black Lives Matter, black nationalist, black racist. Yeah, you have the right to do that under the U.S. Constitution. And you have the right to join the KKK. You're a card-carrying member of the KKK. You have the right to be a card-carrying member of the Aryan Nation. You have the right to do that. That's protected under the First Amendment. So, yeah, I think First Amendment is far more important than the Second Amendment. So I support your right to associate with who you want. Yeah, today is Happy Pina Colada Day. So, yeah, just, grab your KKK member buddy or Black Lives Matter buddy or whatever, what your association is, and grab a pina colada and have some fun. It is Pina Colada Day. What are you going to do, live in depression every day? Yeah, you got to be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. That's for you Generation Xers out there. Don't worry. Be happy. Do you remember that from decades ago? Yeah. Life is what you make it. As Salman, my Druzi flatmate in Israel, said, as you know, I lived over 3 years in Israel. And Druzi Salman, he was a flatmate of mine. And he worked for Israeli secret police. And he had his semi-automatic pistol. And he used to always point at us. It made us nervous. Me, Serge, and Simon, Serge Gorman, and Simon Ewell. Simon Ewell's from Scotland. Serge Gorman is from France. We're all flatmates, and I'm from America. And I guess I guess Miss Armand was there to protect me because I'm the national treasure, right? I'm the expert of Jewish studies, and I went to Israel as a research fellow at the Hebrew University to research Jewish identity. So I guess the Israeli government put a secret policeman there to make sure that I don't die. I'm like Israel's national treasure. Yeah, Mossad, Shabak, Israeli police trying to protect my life. Because my expertise in Jewish studies, it's like worth more than diamonds to Israel, and so I have to protect my life. I'm like the national treasure because I'm an expert of Jewish identity, Jewish group identity, and so they need my knowledge, my assessments to survive as a nation. So they protect me. So yeah, so when I was in Israel, Salman was there. He had his gun with him in his room. Yeah, in case something happens, I guess. So what can I do? I'm a national treasure of more than one nation. Just because I'm the Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century. So yeah, obviously it's not an accident. The Israeli government put a secret policeman there, in my apartment. But geez, we're talking about a government that is constantly fighting terrorism every second day. So they do everything strategically. They can't waste any resources. Yeah, but anyway, so I'm valuable to many nations. But, what can I say? I'm a humble man. I know what I'm worth, but I am humble. Um, wasn't there a singer who said, be humble, be humble? My fifth graders at Savoy Elementary School, they were like singing the songs like, be humble. I don't know. I don't know what song they're singing about. But yeah, they're into that song. Um, is it like Savage 21? I don't know. I've never heard any of their stuff, but some of my kids were, my students that I teach at Savoy Elementary School, which is a 100% African American school in DC, where I was fifth grade teacher before I started my 2-year intensive master's program in clinical nurse leader at Georgetown University, and I'm graduating in August, as you know. Yeah, they used to love 21 Savage or Savage 21. I had this one kid who used to write like Savage 21 everywhere in the building. He was just annoyed all the teachers. He would just write 21. He was just too lazy to write Savage. you know. But I love all my students, even the troublemakers. And all my students love me. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, so happy Pina Colada Day. Yeah, it's Pina Colada Day, so we're in the mood for some Pina Coladas. So what's the best Pina Colada you had? And where did you have this Pina Colada that's your favorite Pina Colada? Oh, I don't know. I think the best Pina Colada I had was like on a cruise. On a cruise ship. I love cruise ship. My best buddy, Ed Mosan from Philmont Christian Academy. We're best buddies since 8th grade. He and I used to go on a cruise, like 2, 3 cruises a year. And there was this one cruise that we went on, and we were dudes, we were the cruising dudes. And we love these cruises. We went on princess cruises, Norwegian cruises. We went on every types of cruises. And when we went on a princess cruise, there was a group of high school graduates from Chicago with their parents, on a graduation trip. And they're all over 18, so they're legal. So, so they're all marriageable. I mean, because they're, you know, I have nothing against people marrying people who are under 18, obviously, as long as you marry them. But, at least for the purpose of, for myself, I prefer to date people over 18. And so, yeah, so, yeah, so there were these high school graduates from Chicago, and Ed and I, Ed's married now with Karen Middleton, and he's very happy. Both of them are blue-eyed. All of their 3 daughters are beautiful, blonde and blue-eyed women, Germanic and Norwegian, But when we went on the Princess Cruise with Ed and I, we were single, so there were these beautiful. Women, and they're all beautiful. These I don't know, something like Chicago. I don't know where they're from, but all the women were thin, they were under 120 pounds, and they're amazingly pretty. And there was this one who was called Brit. Obviously we got to meet them and we partied with them the whole week that we were on a cruise. Because in the cruise boat they have dancing every night. So we'll dock and we'll see things. We'll come back to the ship, and every night Ed and I are partying with Brit and her friends. And Brit ended up going to University of California, San Diego. Well, that's where she was going in the fall. But oh, she's beautiful, and Ed had a crush on her. Sorry, Karen. Don't kill Ed because he was a single man at that time. But yeah, and well, Ed had crush on Brit. She was beautiful, head to toe. But Ed had a particular crush on Brit's stomach, because it was nice and flat, and it was nice and smooth, and it's there's you can't pinch an inch there. It's totally perfect waistline. Some women are pretty, but you can't pinch an inch. It's guys thin women. As I like to say, being thin is 50% of the battle for women. If you want to be beautiful, I mean, even if you're ugly, if you're thin, you probably want to be beautiful. Especially age 18 or age 18 to 24. Even if you're ugly, if you're thin, If you're like under 20, 120 pounds, you don't want to be like grossly thin, like anorexic or bulimic thin, like 90 pounds. But as long as you're like between like around 98 pounds to like 120 pounds, um, yeah, 5'7", it doesn't matter how ugly you are, you'll probably look pretty. I mean, to be safe, I don't want you guys to become bulimic or anorexic. As you know, I'm taking my certified nurse leader exam next week. So I don't want you guys to do anything crazy like putting your finger down your throat to throw up or not eating anything. And don't go crazy like that. But you do need to keep your weight down. I would say if you're a woman, uh, keep it down. Between 100 to 120 if you're like 5'7". I would argue. Uh, just eat something like fruits and vegetables. Generally, eat fruits and vegetables and fish. Keep your weight down. Just eat small portions every meal. Like don't starve yourself. But yeah, I'm giving you some good advice. You're lucky that you're watching this show because your daddy's not going to tell you because your mom may be divorced and you don't have a daddy. I mean, you have a daddy, but he's not there. And your daddy, every time he sees you, he's not going to tell you like to not eat. He's going to probably overfeed you. You know how it is. That's the bad thing about not having a daddy around all the time because you're not going to get like Mel's perspective. You're only get your mom's perspective. And if she's divorced, she's probably like male hating, like, what guys would say. Yeah. But this is like a family show that I target like adult audience. So I'm not going to say the word, but you know what I mean. Like a lot of women who are divorced are angry at men and hate men. When divorced women get together, they're like bash men. That's all. Guys are like, the guys are turned off by them. Maybe that's why a lot of divorced women are becoming lesbians. Because like men are turned off by divorced women hating men. So they're like, they're probably they get twisted with lesbianism. So yeah, I mean, obviously Romans chapter 1 says you cannot be a homosexual, whether it's men, or women. So you gotta stay away from that. Because you're gonna go to eternal damnation in hell. But I'm gonna give you some advice that your daddy doesn't give because your daddy's not around because your mom's divorced. I mean, no offense to your mother, but if she can't keep a husband, I mean, that's pretty bad. That's one thing you should not learn from your mom. If she failed in marriage, you should not fail in marriage. If your mom failed in marriage, you got a divorce, she's a failure in marriage. What can you say? I mean, I'm not trying to insult your mother. I'm just stating a fact, right? If your marriage ends in a divorce, it's a failure. I mean, by definition. Make sure you don't end up like that. Obviously, Jesus says don't get divorced, so you shouldn't get divorced. Yeah. I mean, Jesus said any woman who's divorced and marries lives in adultery. Yeah. So, yeah, don't get divorced. Jesus is against divorce. He said it like explicitly, and St. Paul repeated it. If you get divorced, I mean, you get divorced, but you cannot remarry. You have to be like a nun, like no sex until you die. I mean, you should get divorced, but if you do, you're gonna double your sin. If you get divorced, that's a sin. But if you get divorced and you get remarried, that's like double sin. So if you get divorced, you just stay away from sex the rest of your life. No sex toys, obviously. Sex of any kind. Yeah, you have to be celibate until you die. That's the law, New Testament law. If you get divorced, no sex, no remarriage. Yeah, and obviously if you're a Christian man, you're not supposed to marry a divorced woman. So stop, dating the divorced woman you're dating now because you're not supposed to. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I mean, Jesus said it. St. Paul said it. This is what the New Testament teaches. So I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to hide truth from you. And if you're a woman, 18 to 24 watching this show, make sure you don't get divorced because you'll be violating the New Testament. Yeah. Yeah, your mama should have taught you that, but if she's divorced, she may not teach you because she's ashamed, but I'm going to teach you. This is why you should watch this show because I'll teach you things that your mom should teach you, but will not teach you because she's ashamed as a divorced woman. I'll teach you things that your dad should teach you, but he's just not around to teach you because he's divorced. Yeah, so you should watch this show every day just to get a perspective that you need as a single woman, 18 to 24, to survive and be happy in your life. Because, you know, all the things your mom tells you, it's like 90% are lies or misconceptions. What does divorced woman know about men? I mean, if she knew about men, she could keep her man. You know what I'm saying? I'm no insult to your mom, but I'm just being honest here. Yeah, I want you to be happy. There's no reason why you should not be happy just because your mom failed in marriage. Yeah, so I'm looking out for you. Yeah, you. I'm looking out for you. So watch this show, take my advice, so you'll have a happy marriage and not fail in marriage like your mama. Yeah. So anyhow, yeah, you know, but anyway, yeah, let's go to the numbers. Yeah, today is Pina Colada Day. All of them, I'm sure, love to have a Pina Colada. Maybe had that up here already. Yeah. So in terms of numbers, there were 845 people dying. You know, we're going at 1,000 deaths per day right now. Nothing new. Same old, same old. This is our new reality. So I mean, you know, get used to it. It's not going to change. Um, World Health Organization is said COVID-19 is forever. Yeah, maybe I should make myself that sure. COVID-19 is forever. Yeah, you'll last longer than your marriage, and longer than your life, longer than your childhood. Yeah, COVID-19 is forever. That's why, you know, it's like HIV virus has been here for like decades, you know, since you were not born, you know, most of you watching this show. Yeah, so was hepatitis C virus. So it was continuously there for 365 days a year for decades before you were born. Until now, and it's going to last until Jesus comes back. It's forever. It's not COVID-19. So you're living in a new reality. So what are you going to do, right? So at this rate, death rate, we had 133,228 deaths yesterday. 20 today. We have total of 134,073 deaths. I'm predicting that we'll have a million deaths by end of August. It's one thing to be outside in the beach where, yeah, as long as you're not like talking to people like up close, like 6 feet up close, or you're wearing a mask, you're not gonna get COVID in the beach, right? This is like open air. But you know, they're gonna put you in a classroom, like inside a little square, like cubicle. You're breathing, they're breathing. There's like COVID-19 circulating all around the room. That's more dangerous. I mean, going to the beach is not that dangerous, you know, as long as you're not like, you're keeping your distance. You can have fun in the beach, suntan, go to the water and swim, ride the waves. When I go to the beach, I'm generally like riding the wave with like, my girlfriend, or I don't have a girlfriend now, so if you're single, email me if you're interested in becoming my girlfriend. You have to be a good Christian and you have to look like that, like the women there. You have to be thin and beautiful. So, but if you are, email me. So yeah, you have to love Jesus. That's number one. But close to that is you have to be beautiful. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. 99.9% of the men want that. So that's why I'm encouraging you to be in the weight range of 100 to 120. Yeah, because your daddy may tell you lies, but I'm not going to tell you lies. I want you to be happy, and you're not going to be happy being 140. Because men don't like that. If you can achieve it, have a bikini body like 365 days a year until you get married. After you get married, you should still try to maintain a bikini body, but you have the kids, which kind of binds you and your husband together, and your husband can't get divorced anyway, so you got him. Put a ring on him. If he's a Christian, he can't get a divorce. So, I mean, he kind of gain weight, and what can he do, right? So I hope my wife doesn't gain weight, but if you do gain weight, what can he do, right? You're married. So yeah, I mean, so until you get married, until you get locked in that marriage prison with that ring, I call it a prison because he can't get out even if he wants to. Because true Christian can't get a divorce. So obviously you want to marry a true Christian who believes that. Because if you don't marry a true Christian, then he's going to leave you for a younger girl. Because that's all 99.9% of the guys love to leave their friends and wife for a younger girl. Of course. That's how all guys are. People are sinful. You're supposed to be married to one wife, but if you're gonna let him get divorced, he's gonna divorce you. You know, so it's up to you not to make sure you lock him in. Yeah, with a short leash. You're married to a guy. Yeah, you gotta get a leash for a man. If you're married, you can't trust a guy. You can't trust a single guy. Get that leash. Have your husband in a short leash. Yeah. See, I teach you things that's gonna keep you happy, right? So when you get married, you 18-year-olds watching this show now, you're gonna have a short leash for your husband so that he won't wander. It's like guys are like dogs, you know. If you take off the leash, the guy's gonna go start sniffing somebody else's another dog's butt. You know, that's how guys are. So when you get married, put the things you gotta do is get that leash, find your husband in. Well, if he complains, you have to stick to it. That leash. Well, what are you gonna do? Let your dog run around? You know? No, you have to put the leash on it because you don't know what your dog's gonna do. Yeah, same with your husband. Don't let him run around. That short leash, that's absolutely necessary. You're married. Yeah, anyway, in terms of confirmed cases, we're going up at an alarming rate, like 70,000 per day. So yesterday was 3,112,252. Today is 3,182,385. Yeah, so this is our new normal. Nothing's going to change. It's going to be like this until Jesus Christ comes. Maybe. It depends, you know. If you legalize homosexuality, God can make it disappear, but probably not. This is so different from Spanish flu, because Spanish flu was a seasonal thing. It actually was a flu, and it came and through the flu season and then came back again. That's why it was called Spanish flu. Because actually it was a strain of flu virus. COVID-19 is not a flu virus. It's a 365 days a year virus, like hepatitis C or HIV. That's why it's never going to go away. It's going to be here forever. Yeah, it's last season. It's perennial. It's like Christmas tree, pine tree. You know, it's like 365 days a year. Yeah. Anyway, so carpe diem. You know, that's one of the philosophies some people have. Live for today, or you know, as some people phrase it, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. You know, a lot of people, you know, are like, a lot of people are gonna die. People know that, so they're like, if I'm gonna die, at least let me enjoy my present and die. You know, a lot of people are thinking that, you know, because it's like summer, you don't know whether you're gonna live in fall 2020. Because nobody knows what's gonna happen during the flu season with COVID. Because we didn't live through a flu season with COVID, right? COVID started here like early January, but it wasn't really big. And by the time it hit most of the nation, it was like April. So it was like after flu season. So we don't know how COVID and flu season are going to react when thousands are being infected every day. Like nobody knows, because that hasn't happened yet. So this fall, when the flu season starts, it's like a mystery to everybody. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Heerak Christian Kim, that's me, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia State District. That's Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, and Fairfax County in Virginia, Northern Virginia. I'm predicting that 1 million people will die per month during the flu season. And I think I'm right because look at the numbers now and it's summer. There's like nothing else but this COVID and people are getting infected and dying. In the winter, you're going to have like influenza A, influenza B, you're going to have strep throat, you have mononucleosis, you're going to have like sinus infection, you're going to have like thousands of things going at the same time, you know? So that's when all the deaths are going to be like horrific, far more horrific than this summer. A lot of deaths are coming this summer. I'm predicting, 1 million deaths by end of August, like 10,000 people dying per day sometime this summer. Because you have all these cases, like over 11,000 cases in Florida, you know, like 10,000 cases in California, 10,000 cases in Texas. Today you had Georgia, over 4,000 cases in like Georgia, or Arizona rather. Yeah, I mean, Virginia had like 1,000 cases today, so we're gonna go to like 2,000, 3,000 cases soon. Yeah, so deaths are coming in the summer too, but in the summer, it's not gonna be as bad as winter. Winter's gonna be far worse. So most people are thinking I'm gonna die in winter most likely if I have an asthma. So let me just enjoy the summer because would it suck if you die in 2020 winter because you have an asthma and COVID together and you've never been to the beach for like whole summer? That's what people are thinking. They're like, hey, I'm not going to die without going to the beach at least once in summer 2020. I mean, it's safer in the beach than in the classroom, right? I mean, there's no doubt that it's safer in the beach than in the classroom, right? Because when you're walking around, like when you go and ride waves in the beach, you're generally away 6 feet away from most people, unless you go out there with like your buddies or your girlfriend or your wife. You're riding the beach alone, like you're riding the waves alone. I mean, there are a lot of people riding the waves alone. You're generally like over 6 feet away from each other when you're in the water in the beach. You know how it is. Like you've been to the beach. You have rare cases where people are closer than 6 feet from each other when you're riding the waves of the beach. So being at the beach is like kind of the safest thing to be. Being outside, it's hot and sunny. It's hot weather will probably kill off the virus if you're not close enough from a person who's infected to get it. So you're not going to probably get it from the air in the beach. So unless you talk to somebody like close within 6 feet, you're probably not going to get COVID. Even if you don't have mask on, but I would encourage you to wear a mask. So yeah, go to the beach, enjoy yourself. Tomorrow promises to be a beautiful day. Drive to Virginia Beach or go to Ocean City, Maryland or New Jersey. Just have fun, but make sure you keep 6 feet away. If you can, wearing a mask is a good thing. But as I said, as long as you're far away from everybody and not talking to anybody, keep your mouth closed, don't go close to people, you're fine. Yeah, so enjoy your day tomorrow in the beach. Make sure you have a pina colada if they are serving it. I mean, they should be serving it outside. You can have like virgin pina colada, without alcohol. It tastes good. Yeah, so have fun in the beach tomorrow. Take your family to the beach. Make sure, like you stay only with your family. Don't make sure your children don't go talk to other people. Yeah, but yeah, have fun. I mean, geez, your children may die in Christmas, or you may die before Christmas. So, I mean, make sure you take a lot of photos, put them up on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure there are memories. You have to make memories with your children in the summer. I wouldn't encourage going anywhere else, like a long drive for vacation, because it's safer if you just kind of have a day trip, drive with, if you're inside your family car. You're not going to get COVID inside your car with your family members if none of them have it, right? And then go to the beach, don't talk to anybody, just talk to each other, and drive back. You're not staying in a hotel or, pack food, don't eat at a restaurant. Bring like hot dogs and sandwiches, fruits and vegetables and eat, on the beach or whatever. So you don't have to go anywhere where you could get infected. I mean, if you don't buy food at a restaurant in the beach, you can buy food at a restaurant on the beach, but make sure you're wearing a mask and you're buying it from like an outside vendor rather than going inside in any inside building. That's where people get COVID. It's like people are not getting COVID because they're going to the beach. People are getting COVID because they go to the beach and they go inside to a restaurant to eat, and they're talking to the waiter like within like a foot of, and it's inside. And you don't have a mask on because you're eating. That's why you're getting COVID. You're not getting COVID because you're in the beach. You're getting COVID because you're going to restaurants for lunch or dinner. And then you're talking to the waiters up close without a mask on. That's why you're getting COVID. So when people say you're going to get COVID because you're going to the beach, they're lying to you. You don't get COVID just by going to the beach. And as long as you're outside, you're not going to get COVID. As long as you you know, you could buy food, but make sure you don't go inside the restaurant. If you do, it's less riskier. This inside is always riskier. Try to buy food from an outside vendor, or if it's a restaurant, they may bring the food outside to you. Make sure they do that. And don't eat inside. Even if they have outdoor seating, I'll be very careful because you know there are waiters going around and they may pop in and say, "Do you want anything?" And then you have COVID. If you're eating and you have an asthma. So I would just bring the food back to the beach. Get the food, bring it back to the beach, eat it, and throw it in the trash can. Like, there's no reason why you get COVID. You get COVID because you're inside eating in a restaurant, or you go inside to Starbucks, and yeah, inside you get it, especially if you don't have a mask on and you're talking to people. But if you're outside in the beach, you're not gonna get it. So yeah, I just I mean, obviously bar, you go inside to the bar, you're gonna get it. So get your pina colada, bring it out to the beach, and drink it there. Um, yeah, I mean, just taking little steps will prevent you from getting it. But there's no reason why you should get COVID in the beach. Unless you're like hugging people up close, like over 6 feet. Wear your mask, but even when you're suntanning, you don't even need to wear a mask when you're suntanning. If you're not going to come in 8 feet, 6 feet distance of other people. So yeah, go to the beach, have fun. I mean, you may die this Christmas, especially if you're over 40. There's high chance you could die if you're a school teacher, public school teacher in Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, or Fairfax County, because the schools are going to open and you're going to be inside. So you'll probably get COVID and die. A lot of teachers are going to die from COVID in fall 2020 in Arlington County Public Schools, Alexandria City Public Schools, Arlington Public Schools, and Fairfax County Public Schools. So if you're a school teacher in these areas, you should go to the beach tomorrow with your kids, because you probably will die in the fall. You don't want your last summer with your children to have no fun or no fun photos, especially if your children are like elementary or middle school kids. Well, that would suck, like they'll remember your last summer, like not having anything fun done. So I'd encourage you to go to the beach, go to the park, play tennis with your kids. How are you going to get COVID playing tennis? It's just you and your kid playing tennis. It's like the safest sport. Go play golf. If your family's the only person family that's like riding on a golf cart, how are you going to get COVID? I mean, you're going from coast to coast. It's not coming to anybody else. There's no reason you get COVID outside playing golf. Yeah, so yeah, do things that are safe. Just don't go inside a room. This is like classroom is dangerous. I support you going to the beach with your family and having fun, but I don't support opening up schools in the fall semester, because as I said, once you're inside, then that every time you breathe, you're letting out like COVID-19, and it can circulate inside. I mean, that's a dangerous situation. Small classroom for hours, COVID-19 circulating, you're gonna get it. I mean, how are you not gonna get it? So yeah, going to the beach is like the safest thing you can do, as long as you wear a mask when you're inside, and you just take precautions. So yeah, have fun. Go to the beach with your family. Have fun. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think beaches should be closed at all. I don't know why Florida is closing the beaches. Because people are not getting COVID because they're in the beach. People are getting COVID because they go inside a restaurant to eat inside a restaurant, or like inside a classroom. It's like being inside a restaurant. It's the same thing. As long as you're not going inside, you don't really have a risk. Yeah, but the problem is families can be lazy and they don't pack food. If you're lazy, what I would do is just stop by a McDonald's, drive in, and order a lot of food. So, like, if you're lazy to pack food, just go and order McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or Pizza Hut, pick up a couple boxes of pizza, yeah, and go to the beach, yeah, as long as you're not eating inside, there's no problem. Yeah, I mean, why should your life be miserable? Especially because you're looking at death, a lot of death in the fall. Why should you make your life miserable? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't drive anywhere for a family vacation where you have to stay overnight, because that's too risky. I mean, how are you going to trust hotel or motel to keep you safe? That's why I would not go anywhere where you have to spend the night. I would not do that. That's too risky, and obviously hotel rooms are inside. How do you know if they're properly cleaned out? People coming in, different people coming in every time. You don't know. And housekeepers can have children. So you just don't know. So I would not do a road trip which would require you to spend the night anywhere. But yeah, like day trip to Ocean City, Maryland, day trip to Virginia Beach. Just start early, if you're like 4 hours away from Virginia Beach, get your children together like, at 4 or 5 a.m. and just drive 4 hours, have fun and then drive back. I mean, you can't really do much in the beach after 5 anyway, because you can't really do the, boardwalk thing, right? So you have to drive back around 4 or 5 anyway. So you go there early, you spend the day in the beach, you drive back. I just stock up on drinks now, but yeah, order food from McDonald's or whatever on the way down there. Order several hamburgers for each kid, to last from the whole day. Yeah. And you can always pee in the beach. That way you don't have to go to the bathroom inside of like a room. Just go to the beach. It's like a big ocean and pee in there. Yeah. I mean, and it's not like a swimming pool. I mean, you don't want to go to like a beach bathroom because that's inside. I mean, it's putrid with children. So yeah, I mean, pee in the beach. Tell your kids to pee in the beach. Make sure you go the long one before you go on the trip. But yeah, most people don't poop, in a day. Or once a day, I mean, you poop in the morning, you're not gonna have to poop again. So, yeah. So, yeah. So have fun in the beach tomorrow. Yeah, it's a pina colada day. It's a nice weekend. And, but summer is not here forever. Yeah, you don't have nice days all the time. So when a day is nice, you spend some time with the kids. Yeah, so we're doing the top 10 Europe. So Russia is number one in terms of cases, 712,863. The deaths are at 2%. The number is 11,000, like flat. And then United Kingdom is number two with 289,000 cases, 678. Their death rate is at 15%, so that's 44,735. So Europe's problem is that they have high death rate. Western Europe. Spain has 253,908 cases, 28,403 are dead. It's 11%. Italy is 242,639 cases, and their death rate is 14%. That's 34,938 dead. Turkey is 210,965 cases. Death rate is at 3%, so they only have 5,323. Turkey has some nice beaches. I shared with you like photographs of me and my 4 bikini-clad female friends, right? Beautiful. I mean, they're absolutely beautiful. They're like at 20, 21 years old at that time. They were doing junior year abroad. And yeah, I shared my photo with you, right, from Turkey. And in Pamukkale, yeah. I mean, it's for women, I recommend you get married between 18 to 24 when you have a nice body, when you're pretty and thin. Because after 26, most women start getting ugly, I would say, and fat. Like, biologically, you can't avoid it. So, yeah, get married before 24 for maximum, opportunity, for happiness in your life. Because, your profession is not going to keep you happy. All the women who work in the profession all their life are fired from their jobs. There's 48 million people unemployed. And they don't have a husband, they don't have children, and they're not fired from their job with their Harvard MBAs. Their life is useless, meaningless. The most important thing in life is finding the man you love, marrying him, and having children. That is the most important thing. Your career can come and go, but your personal happiness hinges on who you marry and how many children you have. Because at the end of the day, your children will love you as close to unconditional love as anywhere you will find on earth. This is family. I mean, you need to form your own family because that's the only true form of love you can ever experience, your family. So why would you want to throw that happiness for a job? Are you crazy? Yeah. Yeah, don't be crazy. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about historical ways of dealing with pain and suffering. Um, yeah, you know, COVID-19 is a form of pain, right? There's a pain because there are things you cannot do that you could do before. People are in emotional pain because they can't go to their job. Some people are in their physical pain because they can't exercise in the gym like they used to be able to, and they kind of need that physically to keep in shape. Yeah, so a lot of people are in pain and suffering. So I just wanted to talk about several ways people deal with pain as a way to help you cope with your pain. As you know, I support Cura Personalis, which is treating the whole person. It's an idea that Georgetown University supports. Georgetown University is a Catholic university that's opposed to gay marriage and abortion, which is the official Christian position, as you know. So, yeah. But so cura personality means we want to take care of you as the whole person, an emotional person, physical person, mental person, all ways. So I try to provide a cura personalis service to you. So I care about you being happy. Obviously, that's why I'm encouraging you to prioritize finding a man you love, marrying him, and starting a family, and not prioritize your profession. This profession will not make you happy. And COVID-19 is proving that for 100% of the women in America right now. They're all regretting that they prioritize their profession and not family. Yeah, don't be that loser woman. Loser woman. Yeah, don't be that loser woman. Yeah, so find your love, get some kids, celebrate happiness and love through your family. Don't lose out. Don't lose out. I mean, you'll be so sad if you lose out on your happiness because you're like focused on like getting a job or, I mean, 48 million people got unemployed and more people are going to get unemployed. I mean, should that be your focus in life? No, I mean, having a job is a means to an end. And the end is happiness. And true happiness comes from you giving love and experiencing love that comes from being married to the man you love, having children, loving them, and having them love you. Why would you want to miss out on that? Yeah. I mean, don't listen to feminazis. They're all like man haters or divorced, probably lesbians, and they're all angry with life, the world, and the man. I mean, you wanna have a model who's like a feminazi, who's man hater, who hates herself, who hates the world, who hates everybody. I mean, geez, it's like pathetic. You'd be like loser, loser, feminazi, lesbian. So don't be that woman because I mean, your personal happiness matters to me, and I don't want you to fall into the trap of lesbian misery one's company, bunch of men-hating lesbian feminazis wanting to be miserable. So they're trying to entice you into the misery trap. Don't fall into that misery trap. I mean, don't be an idiot. Yeah, make yourself happy. Find your happiness. Marry between 18 and 24 when you have a body like that. I mean, geez, after 26, everything's going to sag. Yeah, your butt's going to start sagging. Your breasts are going to start sagging. Your bellies are going to start sagging. Your legs are going to become like flappy. Yeah, you're gonna have like cottage cheese. And if you don't know what cottage cheese is, just ask your mom. Your mom knows what cottage cheese is. Cottage cheese is like your thigh that becomes like dimply. Like it's no longer smooth because you're over 26 and your leg starts to become like cottage cheese. It's like cheese that becomes really aged, old cheese. So your thighs, look at your thighs now. It's nice and smooth, right? If you're 18 to 24. Yeah. After 26, it's going to go like wrinkly, like it's going to go dimply. It's going to have wrinkles, your leg, and that's why we call cottage cheese. Yeah, so that's coming when you're 26. It starts like some women have cottage cheese even when they're 24. I mean, if you want to have your mom like sit with like her shorts and then you see the cottage cheese there, yeah, that's cottage cheese. Yeah. Yeah, so make sure you get married before cottage cheese because cottage cheese turns guys off. It's like cottage cheese. Some men don't even eat cottage cheese because they don't like the way it looks. Yeah. Yeah, it's like men like smooth body. They don't like dimply, like wrinkly, and yeah, age is number one important thing for beauty. Seriously, from 18 to 24, the fact that you're young, that is your greatest asset. Being young is that's why women try to have cosmetics to hide their age, right? I mean, just hear your mom talk. She's like, "Oh, do you see my wrinkles?" You know, when she puts makeup on, when she's going to an event, right? She's going to ask you like, "Do you see my wrinkles?" You know, right? Things like that. I mean, because your mom is afraid that her age makes her look ugly. Yeah, you're going to go through that too. You know, when you're her age. So yeah, you cannot stop time. So you're going to get old. So between 18 to 24 is when you want to get married because that's the height of your beauty. After 26, you're downhill. I mean, I personally do not want to marry anybody over 26. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I may die of COVID before Christmas 2020. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, when I was 18, I wanted to marry 18 to 26 or 24. You know, when I was 20, I wanted to marry 18 to 24. When I was 25, I wanted to marry 18 to 24. And now I still want to marry 18 to 24 because that's the most beautiful age. Why would you want to marry an ugly woman, you know, with cottage cheese? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Why should I lie to you? I mean, I may die before Christmas. What good is my lying to you? You know, there are so many lies in the world today. We have so much fake news. And I don't believe in the liberal media. Fake news. There's so much fake news. Jeez, I mean, do you want me to give you fake news? Do you want me to lie to you and say, I love cottage cheese? As long as you're smart, I love cottage cheese. Are you kidding me? Do you think smart men want to marry smart women who have cottage cheese legs? No. I mean, you know, if they have no choice, then you know what can you do? But you know, if you have choice, obviously you're going to choose the one with that cottage cheese. Uh, Being young is number one important thing in terms of a woman. Do not miss your boat because after 26, you're a spinster. In most guys' mind, if you pass 26 without being married, you're a spinster. You're like, there's something wrong with you. Why didn't a guy marry you before you're 26? Obviously, there's something wrong with you. Are you a lesbian? You know, that's how guys think. If you're not married by you're 26, most guys think you're like defective. There's something defective about you. That's why no guy wanted to marry you. Because guys don't want to get married. You know, guys don't want to get married. That's just like 100% of the guys or 99% of the guys, they just don't want to get married if they don't have to. That's why, they used to say, you know, why buy the cow when you can have the milk for free? If you're giving your boyfriend free sex, I mean, why should he marry you? I'm sure even during COVID era, he's like, I don't want to get married. Yeah, because you're giving him free sex. You're like his personal whore. Why would he want to marry you? Because he's getting what he wants, right? He doesn't have to pay for it. He's just getting it free from you. You're like his personal whore that he doesn't have to pay for. It's like unlimited credit. He doesn't want to marry you. He want to marry like somebody younger, you know, after COVID. He thinks the COVID's going to be over and he's going to marry somebody much younger than you. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's how guys are. Now, welcome to the real world. I'm here to give you facts so you don't end up being that woman who is doomed to unhappiness because your divorced mama told you a lot of men-hating lies that you believed. Yeah, I don't want you to be that victim of your divorced mother's man-hating philosophy. I want you to be happy, and I'm gonna give you advice to help you be happy. In a sense, I'm better for you than your divorced mama in terms of your future happiness. Because I'm going to give you advice that's actually going to give you happiness. Yeah, don't listen to your mama. If she's divorced, on matters of marriage, don't listen to your mama. Because obviously she failed in marriage if she doesn't know what love is. If she doesn't have to maintain her man, she doesn't know what a man is. I mean, you know, if you can't keep your man, I mean, geez, that sucks. If you're a woman who cannot hold on to your man, I mean, that's like, I mean, you're not a woman. You know, I mean, you gotta be able to hold on to your man. I mean, that's what makes you a woman. Yeah, all men know this. Yeah, uh, yeah. Women who are men know how to keep has a claw on her man. He's not going anywhere. Yeah, that's a woman. Men respect women like that. Men don't respect women like, honey, do what you want. Yeah, go to Las Vegas with your college buddies. Yeah, guys don't respect women like that. Yeah, because they're gonna go to Las Vegas and find a younger and prettier woman. I mean, and all of his buddies from high school be like, yeah, give me five. You're the dude. That's what all of them. They'll be high fiving their buddy for leaving you after 3 years of living with you and getting free sex from you. But they're like, yeah, she was your personal whore, but hey, you're moving on to your next chapter in your life, your wife. Yeah, that's how guys will be like. You will be like a laughing stock of every one of your 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 uh, your ex-boyfriend's buddies. Yeah, they'll be laughing about you like all the way to his wedding. That's how guys are. They're not going to have pity for you. They'll be like, she's stupid enough. She's a stupid whore. She gave me all this free sex for 3 years. Yeah, I treated, I like free sex, so I did what she wanted for 3 years. But hey, I wasn't going to marry her. Yeah, that's how guys talk. I'm just telling the truth. Don't get all like, pissy and offended. You can turn this thing off. You don't have to watch this show. That's your freedom. I'm just giving you the facts to protect you from your future unhappiness. Don't let your boy friend go to Las Vegas along with his high school buddies, because you're gonna lose him. There's like, if you could get a girl, you're gonna lose him. He may not be able to get a girl, but if you could get a girl, then you're 100% losing him. Yeah. So that's how it is in life, okay? Welcome to real life. There's a reason why there's a 60% divorce rate, because women are so stupid that they're letting their guy go. What, you think she's gonna, like, get a better guy? Like, you're like over 30. How are you gonna get a better guy? You have like, what, everything is sagging. You have cottage cheese, you're fat and ugly. Which guy will want you? No wonder like, why all these divorced women are becoming like, lesbians. Because no guys want you if you're like over 30 and divorced. Why would guys want you? I mean, there may be a few guys who are, you know, C guys or D guys. I'm an A guy, you know, alpha male. You may have a gamma male or delta male who may want you, but I mean, geez, men don't respect guys like that. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's like a pecking order among men's world. You may not like it, but it exists. We are all like biologically wired. And some people say we're like animals, we have a pecking order. Yeah. This biological pecking order, we all understand. We don't have to explain it to each other. All the men understand that. It doesn't matter what race you are. You could be black, white, Hispanic, Native American. It doesn't matter. You could land in a secluded island and you can't even communicate, but there's clearly a pecking order among men. That's how men relate to each other. Men don't like to talk like women. Women talk things to death. It's kind of annoying sometimes. Women like to talk things to death. Guys hate that. Guys don't want to talk it out. Guys just want to be left alone to watch their football. Most guys are happy. If they marry a beautiful woman like that woman, don't skip out on summer woman who has that kind of body. I would say like 80% of the men would be very happy married to a woman like that. And once they have kids, it's okay if you get a little fat, because the kids are like kind of like a cement for love. Men love their kids, so I mean, even if you're fat, you're the mother of your children, so he will respect you for that. That's how it works. Yeah. So, love kind of transition a little bit more into the respect side once you become a mother, but it's okay, because you're not going to be lonely because you're going to have your lover, husband there. don't do stupid thing like letting him go alone to Las Vegas with his high school buddies, then you're fine. Yeah, keep him in short leash. Then there's no reason for you to lose your guy. Um, so yeah, so basically, most guys are lazy. If they can marry a girl like that, as long as she's not like trying to talk everything out with him. Guys hate to talk things out. Guys don't like to talk things out. They don't. Just leave your man alone. Don't be nagging him, because guys hate that. When there's number one thing that all men hate is when women want to talk things out. They hate it. I don't know a single guy who likes to talk things out. He'll lie to you because you're a woman, and men lie to women. Yeah, men lie to women all the time because that's how men are. So he may tell you he likes to talk things out, but he doesn't. I don't know a single guy who likes to talk things out with anyone, especially his lover or wife or girlfriend. Men do not want to talk things out. They just want to let things be. And, sometimes women are like, they think men are like women. No, men are not women. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. That's for you Generation Xers out there. But that's absolutely true. Men do not want to talk things out. So leave your man alone. The easiest way for you to make your guy like angry or upset is if you nag, force him to talk things out with you. Men hate that. I mean, how many women who nag their men and always force them to talk things out with them? Like if they're women, they're not women, they're men. How many women do you know like that who are happy in their marriage? Like they're probably divorced. Because any woman who forces you to talk things out with them all the time, that's the kind of woman that men hate. I mean, some men will lose love for you just because you're forcing them to talk things out with you. There's nothing that men hate more than women who force you to talk things out with them. It doesn't matter how big the problem is. It doesn't. Because you have to understand men. Men do not want to talk things out. Like if two men have problems, they do not talk things out. That's like a gay thing to do. I mean, if you're like, can I talk to you about your problems? I'm like, man, that's so gay. I mean, you think this is like just for Generation X? No, it's like Generation Y and Generation Z. Like you see like high school, middle school kids, and let's say one guy says, let's talk this problem out. They're like, that's so gay. Because it's wired into guys genetically, biologically. That's just a biological thing. It's not an American thing. It's like that in Korea. It's like that in China. It's like that in Germany. It's like that in England. Men do not want to talk things out. It doesn't work that way. It's not like you talk about something, somehow you're going to create more understanding. It doesn't work that way. That's the women's world. Like I see women, as you know, I'm in the nursing program. And, there are 25 of us who are graduating. And there are 3 men. There's Billy from Texas. There's Grant from North Carolina. There's me, Heerak Christian Kim. I'm here in Virginia, but I'm from Korea. And 3 of us are there, right? And I like women. I have a lot of female friends and stuff, so, I like women, but you see all these like melodramatic battles between women. It's like, my gosh, man, that never happens in the man's world. Like Billy Grant and we never had a fight in 2 years. We never had a conflict because men don't have conflicts unless like you steal their woman. It's like, just don't encroach on another man's territory, like his woman, then you're fine, Every man understands this rule. So But women are like kind of stupid. They think like, they think they could talk things out with everybody. No, it doesn't work that way. There's rule number one for all men in every country in the world: do not touch another woman, another man's woman. It doesn't mean like they won't, but they know that the moment that they go after another man's woman, they're ready to die because they know they could be killed for it. Every man understands this. I mean, any man going after another man's woman know that they could be killed for it. Like, they wouldn't think that's unjust. That's 100% of the men think like that. But some men still go after women who have another man. One, because they may be an idiot, because you have idiot guys, you have idiots everywhere, and they're just asking for it. And one of these days that they're going to get it. There are guys like that, idiots. Number two is like, there are guys, who are like, they want to pick a fight, like, so, they don't care about the fight. Like, these are people who don't have respect for their own life. you know, they're like, yeah, somebody, they're thinking internally in their mind, her husband or her boyfriend may come out and kill me, but hey, life is a fighting thing. Life is a fight. Some guys think like that. So you got to have guys like that. There's always going to be guys who are going to like risk it intentionally. That's the male world. So you have those two types of guys, like idiots who don't want to get killed, but they're not thinking, or there's yeah, they're idiots, but in the back of mind they know that they could get killed, but they're kind of ignoring that momentarily. And then other guys who are like, they like conflict, so they're kind of like pushing the envelope. But majority of guys know that. I mean, 100% of guys know you don't touch another guy's girl. So it's an unspoken rule number one. If you want to survive in the male world, do not touch another man's woman. I mean, that's like rule number one. Every guy knows that. So we will not do that. I mean, unless you want to go into problem. So in the male world, as long as you're not touching another man's woman, you're okay. You can survive. I mean, like, teamwork is 100% possible. There's no problem with teamwork generally in any setting with 100% men. Like, U.S. Army got weaker because they have women. I mean, I would argue you should have all women battalion and all men battalion. It would be stronger as an army, like Chinese army. Because once you throw women in the mix, and if there's a romantic element involved, your army's not going to be that strong. Simple as that. Like we have 25 members in our cohort, but we're not an army, right? So we don't have, and like, so and we will make sure we keep the rule, unspoken rule among men. I mean, as long as you keep unspoken rule among men, you're fine with men in any setting. But like teamwork, that's 100% men, generally will not run into problems because men understand that without speaking. And I'm sure that's like that with women too. Women understand women. And also, I think women talk things out to death. So they have conflicts. They go to melodramatic. And then they make up by talking to each other like to death for hours. Jeez. I mean, like, I'm so glad I'm not a woman. I mean, that must be draining, like to have an emotional conflict, get all melodramatic, and then like talk it out and become best friends again. I mean, geez, like Ed and I, we've never had a fight, like from 8th grade to like, you know, generally with men, if you have a fight, things are over. Two guys walk away. That's how things are with men. They don't talk it out. Yeah, guys are like that. When you try to force two men to talk it out, you're creating social problems. This is why I think having women leaders can be a problem. Because women don't understand sometimes that men don't want to talk things out. And generally, like women in powerful positions have men who are kind of lie or kind of modify their behavior to accommodate their relationship, like in marriage. So most women in that kind of wedding marriage situation, they think all men are like that. They're not. They're not. All men do not want to talk things out. All men do not want to be confronted with issues. That's like 100% of men. The easiest way for you to lose your husband, if you keep confronting your husband with issues, wanting to talk it out. Your husband will lose love for you. Because guys hate that. There's nothing that guys hate more than women who want to talk things out. They hate it. That's men. I mean, if you don't know this about men, then you don't know anything about men. Yeah, I'm talking to you. All the women who are watching the show. If you are like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Well, then you didn't know men. Because all men know this. You're never going to have a man who's going to sit another man down to talk things out. Unless they have to do for like a job or something. Even then, they prefer not to talk it out. They want to just like gloss it over. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, so you're looking at a lot of the problems in terms of relationships. That's why there's 60% divorce. There's too many women want guys to talk things out with them. That's like end of a relationship there. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why a lot of marriage therapy end in failure because men don't want to talk it out. Marriage therapy, how many people you know for whom marriage therapy worked? Really, let's be honest here. Marriage therapy doesn't work because men don't want to talk things out. Men are not women. Women could hate each other, talk things out, and then love each other again. Like, men are just not like that. Yeah, so, yeah, men are not like that. So if you don't understand men, then you're never going to be able to command men. Simple as that. I am a leader of men. And I've always been a leader of men wherever I was. Israel, England, Germany, France, Korea, America. Because I understand men. And I don't piss them off unnecessarily. Because you piss men off unnecessarily, you're going to lose like your bargaining chip with men. Like the moment you ask a guy to talk things out with you, you've lost your power over him. You're never going to be his leader. Unless you're like a pastor or a priest, or whatever. or you're in a company structure and you're like a president or manager. But yeah, I mean, men just don't want to talk things through. I mean, the sooner you get with the program, the sooner everybody's going to be happy. Because if you keep wanting to talk things out with men, you're asking for problems, Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and sometimes women put their husband up to talking to people. That's how you destroy your husband. If you tell your boyfriend or husband, why don't you talk to him about this issue? And your husband doesn't want to, but you're forcing him, you're destroying him. He will be destroyed because you forced him to talk things out. An issue that just let the dog lie, you know the saying? If he didn't have to confront the other guy, he would not have lost everything he had. But because you forced him to confront the guy, now he lost everything. That's the male world. And obviously, the moment he tried to force a conversation with another guy, he knows his life was over. Because he would not have done that unless you put him up to it. Yeah, that's how women destroy their husband or boyfriend. And then obviously the boyfriend or husband will resent the wife for forcing him to do what he knew would result in. But you nagged and nagged told them to do it, nagged and nagged. You pray about it like 1,000 different reasons, nagged and nagged. So he did it because he didn't want to get nagged. Now he's lost everything because of you. That's how it is. Men don't want to talk things out. Even with their closest friends, even with their greatest enemies, they don't want to talk things out. That's how men are. The best way to create peace in the world is not through conversation. Best thing to create peace in the world is by like overlooking faults of people. Yeah. You're never going to have a peaceful world if you want to force people to do something they don't want to do. You're never going to have peace. Never. That's why there's so many wars in the society. Because people are trying to force people to talk things out. And that's the way you create conflict. That's how you create war. If you just let the KKK do what they do, leave them alone, you know, they may say all kinds of trash against black people or Asian people. I'm Asian. But that's all they're going to do, talk trash. And then they're, you know, they watch football or play football. And, you know, they do what men do. And then it'll be over. And you have a peaceful world. There's nothing to prevent KKK members from working side by side with Asians, blacks. In the male world, there isn't a conflict. How you feel about another man, his race, his family, there is no conflict when they're engaged in an activity like work or in military service or serving a prison time. You could be a racist as long as you have your private space to be whatever you need to be. In public space, there's peace. That's how you create societal peace. Women are the problem of America because they're trying to force everybody to talk, and men are not wired this way. So you have conflict. Yeah. So women in leadership are serious problems in America because they're creating conflict that need not be created. Yeah, let the KKK guy be KKK in his own home with his own KKK buddies. What's it to you? Why do you have to go inside his home, his own castle, and tell him that he can't be a KKK in his own castle? Who made you God? Do you see what the women try to do? This is why Ivanka will destroy President Trump. So I bet Ivanka's doing this right now. Ivanka, I mean, she impresses me as like this kind of feminazi women destroyer. She'll probably destroy Jared Kushner too. Because you know how some women are, right? Some women will tell their husband or boyfriend or even if they're not lovers, a guy in an organization, you have to do X, Y, and Z. They put him up to do X, Y, and Z that he doesn't want to do. Right? And then it ruins everything. It destroys the whole organization. That's why I think women don't make good leaders in society. Because I've seen too much of that. I'm not saying all women are stupid like that, but there's enough stupid women who want to force everybody to talk that organization will be completely destroyed. Because men are not going to change their mind. You could talk them to death, they're not going to change their positions. They may pretend like they changed it, but they're going to get you back. They will. Just wait and see. Like all those men who are like smiling and saying, yeah, you know, Black Lives Matter. Oh, they're going to strike Black lives. Just a few months from now, a few years from now, you will see what I mean. I mean, I support Black Lives Matter. I think black people have the right to be black nationalists, black racists against whites. As you know, I teach 100% black people in an Anacostia neighborhood. So I want all of them to be successful. I love them like my own children. I don't have any children. I've never been married. So I want them to be proud of their race, black race. I want them to join any black nationalist organizations that they can. But I also want white boys in Virginia to join KKK and be proud of their white nationalism. So, you know, I'm balanced that way. I'm not like, you know, whites have no right to be a nationalist. Only blacks have the right to join Black Lives Matter, like a black racist nationalist organization. I'm not like that. I'm like, hey, I'm Asian, but if you're black and you want to be black national, it's fine. If you want to be white national, fine. But yeah, I mean, the moment you try to get into people's homes and tell them what to do, you're asking for it. That's how wars start. Yeah. So I'm trying to create peaceful world, and peaceful world is not created by like Ivanka Trump. Like when I see Ivanka Trump, I see like what is wrong with America, because I'm sure Ivanka Trump is doing that with President Trump. I have no doubt. She's like his little princess daughter. So you know how fathers are with their princess; they want to give their daughter everything. You know how they are. Guys have a weak spot for their daughters. And then, like, you know, I'm sure like Ivanka Trump is nagging and nagging and nagging, tell President Trump to do this, do that. And he'll be the end of President Trump. You know, like, I would argue women like Ivanka Trump will be the end of their husband or their father. It's just, yeah. I, I mean, you know, she's pretty, but yeah, I'm sure she's like trying to like fight racism, blah 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 blah. You know how they are. Yeah, I'm sure she's going to destroy President Trump. Because when women try to put men up to do something they don't want to do, uh, there's only one result. They're going to end up destroyed. Because men are not going to bend. Like men are not going to bend at Trump if he's trying to force them to do things they don't want to do. They're not going to bend. That's just how men are. You're just going to lose them. Yeah. So yeah, I would say stay. I mean, I think what President Trump should do is fire Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. I think he has a better future without them. But you know, he's like a daddy with his little princess, so that's probably his Achilles heel that will destroy him. That's my theory. We'll see. Let's see. You know, we have history unfolding. Let's see what happens. I feel bad for President Trump because he has a daughter who converted to Judaism to marry Jared Kushner, and all the Jews hate him. That's how you know that she's not an asset. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm looking at this from an objective perspective. You have a daughter who converted to Judaism to marry a Jew, and all the Jews hate you. I mean, that's like a lose-lose situation. I mean, you know, all the Gentiles looking at President Trump are like saying, loser. I mean, you know, his daughter converted to Judaism and Jews don't even like him. I mean, he probably lost like at least 2 million votes from there. Just that alone. Ivanka Trump. If President Trump hit Ivanka Trump from The View, then he probably would not have lost those 2 million votes. Because Ivanka Trump is gallivanting around like, I'm an Orthodox Jew. You know, I go to New Jersey for Passover. It just highlights the fact that he's a loser because Jews hate him, and his daughter converted to Judaism just to marry a Jew, and all the Jews hate him. I mean, what kind of loser are you if all the Jews hate you when your daughter converted to Judaism? I mean, you got nothing in the bargain. You know, you get. I mean, yeah, I'm sure he's like, I love my daughter. You know, I love her more than myself. Yeah, but you know, that's what I'm saying. That's why, you know, Julius Caesar brought Caesarea, the love child that he had with Cleopatra, to Rome because he loved her. He was blinded by his love of Cleopatra, but more by his love of his bastard son. So he paraded Cleopatra and his bastard son, Caesarea, through the streets of Rome. And soon after that, all the senators stabbed him to death, including Brutus, because they were so insulted by that. I'm serious, you know, men are like that. I mean, you don't understand men. See, women have no idea what men are like. They think they know them because like their husband does what they want. It's not all men. Your husband is like being abnormal because of the relationship. Men are like that. Like Ivanka Trump is probably thinking, oh, if I could get President Trump to say all pro-Jewish things, all the Gentile men in America will become pro-Jewish. Because she doesn't understand men. Men are not like that. men, like in any given setting in the men's world, you're gonna have like white nationalists. You will. You're gonna have like a black nationalist if it's like a mixture, like in the army. Um, they can easily coexist without any problem because men are project oriented. So as long as you don't impede their space of being a racist, they have no problem working collaboratively with you. Because it's like, my home is my castle. This is work. Men know how to compartmentalize. Women, unfortunately, do not compartmentalize. For them, everything is the same. Like, there's no private space and public space. Everything is private space, right? They get into your face about everything, every little thing. You know how it is. Like, men have, men date women, so they know. And yeah, I mean, so I personally believe that women don't make good leaders. Like, uh, and obviously, majority of Americans feel the same because they don't want to vote for Hillary Clinton. Um, Probably predominantly because she was a woman. So President Trump is in a little trouble now because Joe Biden is not a woman. So, like, I'm sure a lot of Democrats just voted against Hillary just because she's a woman. There are a lot of guys like that. I know some of you women out there, turn it off if you don't want to watch. Some of you women out there, they're like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but that's how guys are. I mean, what are you going to change men biologically? There's no way you're going to change men. So Ivanka Trump is probably thinking, oh, if I could get President Trump to say like pro-Jewish stuff, that all men in America are going to become pro-Jewish. No, they're just not going to vote for him. That's what's going to happen. See, women don't understand this because like women are so influenced by like how other women talk and think. You know how women's world are like. It's like women get swayed like left and right, based on like, women. They have that herd mentality. Men are not like that. Men are not like that. Men are like, they're if they're racist, they're going to be racist until they die. I mean, they'll maybe try to hide it, but they're not going to change. Yeah. And if you're going to try to like fight racism, you're just going to lose votes. They're not going to change. They're just going to vote against you. Now you're like trying to force them to change. They hate that. I don't know any men who like to like have been forced to change. So yeah, this whole thing, fighting racism, yeah, it's going to come back to bite you in a big way. You'll see. You'll see what I mean. I'm a historian. I've seen what happens in history, so I know exactly what's coming. Yeah, I'm positive. There's going to be a big retaliation. Yeah, just watch. Yeah. I mean, did you see all those empty spaces in Oklahoma? You know why there were all those empty spaces? Because President Trump moved his campaign rally in Oklahoma because of Juneteenth. They pissed off all the white people. They just refused to come. That should show you what's going to happen in 2020 November election. If you keep fighting racism, you're going to lose. Simple as that. Because you're not going to change racist white people to be non-racist. No matter how much you tell them to, you're not going to make them change. You're not. You're just going to lose your election. What do you think? What do you think? John McCain lost. Why do you think that Mormon guy lost? Who's that Mormon guy who's now senator of Utah? Mitt Romney. Why do you think Mitt Romney lost? Because white American males do not want to be non-racist. They don't. Nothing you say will change them. They're not going to become non-racist. Do you remember in South Carolina, white guy who killed, went into a black church and killed all those black people? Do you remember? You know how many black friends he had? Did you know he had black friends? You probably did not know. Most of his friends were black. So why would he go to a black church and kill deacons and elders in a black church in South Carolina when most of his friends are black? Perhaps because most of his friends are black. You know, maybe they dissed him about his whiteness, told him not to be a racist. You know, he just snapped. Yeah, if he probably had mostly white friends, he would not have done that. Because, you know, you don't have white nationalists, white racists going into a black church killing people. You just don't have that in the history of America. You don't have that. You know, like as an individual, like lone person going in. You don't have that. Yeah, I mean, you're making a big mistake fighting racism at the public level. And I say this as an expert historian because you're acting like a woman. You think would like change people. You know how your girlfriend tries to change you? That's why you dumped her? Yeah, that's what's going on. It's like American society is trying to change men in the way like your ex-girlfriend tried to change you and you resent him. And that's why some of you now hate Trump. You know, when I saw Trump moving his rally from Friday to Saturday because of Juneteenth, I'm like, man, that's Ivanka Trump. I guarantee you. That's not President Trump. It's an Ivanka Trump thing. Ivanka Trump is destroying President Trump. Had he held his Oklahoma rally on Friday and not talked about Juneteenth, that rally would have been completely packed, which would situate him for a massive, epic victory. White Americans are happy being racist. They say racist things to their white wife, and their white children, and they have no problem with it. They're happy in their racism. That's like majority of white people. And if you don't understand that, then you've lost touch with the white world. There's like a minority, maybe 1% white people who care about racism, but that's like 1%. I would say over 90, I'm talking about white guys here, but even white women, over 90% of white men are happy to be racist, and they have no problem admitting to themselves they're racist. They just don't want to admit it in public, especially in a hostile environment. But they're always going to be racist. And forcing them to confront their racism will make them more racist, but more militantly racist. Like that white guy with black friends in South Carolina who went in and killed all those black people in the church. That's what you want to have. Do you want that? Yeah, see, my approach creates a safer America. My approach makes America safe for black people. Your approach will end up destroying America. Your approach will make life less safe for black people. You see like Keisha Bottoms, like a woman mayor? Yeah, women mayors sometimes think like they could fix this problem. They're like they could change men that are not that are racist and non-racist. That's the problem, right? With women who are political leaders. They think like women, and that they think that that's how all men are. Right? That's what Keisha Bottoms did in Atlanta. She's like acting like a woman, assuming that all the men will change because like she uses her power. No man wants to be a slave. When they're forced to do what they don't want to do, you're making them into a slave. And they're going to resent you for it. So when I saw President Trump tweet that he's going to move his celebration like This is Oklahoma, President Trump. Are you like an idiot? We're not talking about like Boston here. Even in Boston, you have like Irish working class Republicans and Democrats resenting it if you move a ceremony to honor black people. Because as I said, 90% of whites are racist. And they have no problem admitting it to themselves. They have a problem admitting in public, but they have no problem admitting it themselves. You're going to push off a celebration to honor black people? You know what they're going to say? You know what white people are going to say? Trump has become a Democrat. I mean, he's probably lost like 2 million votes there. I assure you, there will be millions of people who vote against President Trump just because he moved this rally from Friday to Saturday to honor Juneteenth. He's going to lose 2 to 3 million votes right there. And there will be like people saying, I'd rather vote for a tuna fish than President Trump. They're not going to tell you on screen why that is. The real reason is that President Trump pushed his rally that everybody was planning to go for, planning with like, they scheduled it, they made their calendar schedule on their phone, cell phone, and then he moved it the next day. It's kind of like this. Let's say I ask a girl out, there are 2 women behind me, right? Let's say I asked a girl on my right. So I asked her to dinner, like for Friday. So I asked her out for dinner, she said yes. The dinner is set for Friday. And then I tell her, oh, you know, is it okay if we move our dinner to Saturday? Then she would like, she would want a reason, right? She's like, why? I said, well, I have a female friend. Do you see the female friend? I have a female friend who needs help with her physical assessment for the physical assessment test. That's the day after, and that's really important for her. What do you think the girl that I asked out that I wanted to be my girlfriend are going to think? What do you think she's going to think? I will have 0 chance to have her as my girlfriend. Because I made her what? I made her what? I made her second best. And in her mind, she has come second to my female friend. Do you understand what I'm saying? When President Trump moved his rally, Oklahoma rally, from Friday to Saturday, people are like, why are you doing that? And his excuse is Juneteenth. We're talking about a bunch of racist whites who have no problem with racism. They're not going to come to his rally. Of course not. Not only are they not going to come to his rally, they're going to vote against him. This is what Ivanka Trump is doing to her father. She's ruining her father's life. You're not going to change people. The fact that you think that you can change people, you're probably a woman. Yeah. You're probably a woman, that's why you think you could change people. That's how women think. You cannot change people's core values. You can't. This is why women will never dominate the world. They do not understand this fundamental reality about men. Think about the Senate, where Julius Caesar was the most powerful man in the world, and his best friend Brutus kills him along with other senators. Why would they do that? Because he violated a fundamental rule among men. You can't survive in the male world. This is why women will never dominate the world. Do you know what happened to the only woman president that Korea had? President Park, Chung-hee's daughter. And you know, I met her obviously when I was the president of Cambridge University Korean Society. We invited her as a speaker. And I sat next to her, obviously, because I was the president of Cambridge University Korean Society. And she was a speaker. She was a House of Representative member back then. She wasn't the president. But she became the president. You know where she is now? She's in prison. It's like Hillary becoming president and then going to prison. Women will never control the world. Never. Because how do we know that? Because we have seen thousands of years of history. Even in United Kingdom, where there have been female monarchs, they made sure they did not overstep their boundaries with men. That's how they survived. Like when Julius Caesar overstepped his boundaries, he was killed by his own best friends. Yeah, I mean, and Cleopatra put him up to it. Cleopatra is probably like, if you really love me, you will like have a march with me and our son down Rome. You know how women think. Women haven't changed. Cleopatra thinks like you if you're a woman. Same rationale. Yeah, women are women. We're just wired that way. They think the same. They haven't changed, just like men haven't changed. And Cleopatra got Julius Caesar killed. All she had to do is leave him alone. Right? Not demand stuff. Like, not put him up to stuff. Like, oh, if you love me, you have to march down the street in Rome with me, show me off and show your son off. Because she's thinking like, oh, he could be her heir, he's his heir. Like they will accept him as heir of the Roman Empire because I am Cleopatra, a monarch in Egypt, and she's our child, he's our child. And Julius Caesar, he's a god. I mean, Julius Caesar was worshipped as a god in the Roman Empire. You know that, right? So Julius Caesar is worshipped as a god. I mean, why wouldn't they listen to his own god? Right? We have an interracial marriage. Black Egyptian woman Cleopatra with white Roman Julius Caesar, who's worshipped as a god. We have a biracial child. We are creating a new civilization through this intermarriage. Like that's what probably Cleopatra is thinking and tried to convince Julius Caesar. And Julius Caesar started buying into it. You know how men are. They listen to the women they love generally, sometimes to their detriment. And yeah, he was killed. He was stabbed to death in the Senate, inside the Senate. Yeah, inside. This is how men are. If you're a man, you understand exactly why the senators did that. And most likely you wouldn't condemn it. Men think this way. This is why there are so many wars in the world. And so having women leaders like Keisha Bottoms probably will hurt African Americans in the long run because there will be serious retaliation that will come. You'll see what I mean. Yeah, just wait for it. It's going to come. I think black people should be very afraid in America of the coming retaliation because they will come. I love black people, so I'm worried about it, but I expect it. And I feel sad for black people because it's coming. There's only 10% of the population that will be wiped out, actually. I hope that the white people will not be too cruel when they retaliate. But you cannot like humiliate like a whole race and expect nothing to happen. I'm a historian, so in a sense, I study cause and effect, right? I study causalities. I study in history what causes what. And historians are supposed to be objective, meaning they're not supposed to make a moral judgment on anything in history. They're just supposed to study history as series of cause and effects. So I understand what the cause was for what happened. But I also understand what the result will be in the future because of the cause that we experienced. You see what I'm saying? And in a sense, I guess I'm stoic about it. Stoicism is, says the purpose of life is happiness, which is achieved by virtue, living according to dictates of reason, ethical and philosophical training, self-reflection, careful judgment, and inner calm. So I'm being calm about it. I know what's going to happen in the future, a massive tragedy for Black people, and I feel sad about it, even thinking about it right now, but it's coming. Because I studied thousands of years of history. I see what happens in history. So I can predict what's going to happen based on patterns in history. Most people are not experts in history like I am. So they don't understand that there are patterns in history that often repeat, almost always repeat. That's the thing. You cannot force people to change. It doesn't work. Coercion doesn't work. Because when you try to coerce anybody, you're making them into your slave. And they're going to resist it. And they will retaliate against it. Yeah. And we see that in the play, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'm sure most of you read it. Like most schools require you read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And some people say that play, that book, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, is the single most important factor in the way that has shaped the way Americans view nurses, or educated people view nurses. People who've read that book. But even uneducated, there's I'm being trained to be a clinical nurse leader, so I want to defend the profession of nursing, obviously. But, obviously we need to be realistic and honest about the perception of nurses. And One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a book that almost every high school student are required to read. And it's a book about power, as you know. And it is seen as a negative portrayal of power that is a coercion. So we have McMurphy on the left, the character in the book, who rebels because he's a typical male. So he represents like men are from Mars. That's how all men are kind of like. All men like to rebel. But he's like an alpha male, so his rebellion is going to be a little bit more pronounced than beta males and gamma males or delta males who are going to be a little bit subdued. Right? Because McMurphy is like an alpha male. How do we know he's an alpha male? Because all the men in the union like him. They follow him. So we know he's an alpha male. But because he is an alpha male, Nurse Ratched, and that's the woman on the right, feels threatened because she's thinking, I'm the nurse and I'm supposed to control everybody in the unit. And this McMurphy doesn't want to be controlled. So he's a problem, right? She's like identified him as a problem. Like she's put him in a box. He is a problem. And she wants to make sure that he submits to her. It's kind of like your girlfriend, like she wants to get her way. And whatever you say is not going to convince her, and that's why you dumped her. You know how it is, some women just push the issue, keep pushing it. And so she is going to use her position of power as a nurse to cause him suffering. So she, as a nurse, is torturing McMurphy using the tools that she has as a nurse. Like, you know, using assisted personnel or unlicensed assisted personnel like UAP. So, you know, she is like trying to use her delegation. She delegates responsibilities. So she identifies as an intervention, kind of confining McMurphy, and she's rationalizing that he needs to be confined, right? Because he's mentally ill. So one of the discussions that most English classes have is McMurphy actually a mentally ill patient? Or is he normal, but is treated as a mentally ill patient by the nurse, Nurse Ratched, because he is an independent thinker, right? And the nurse feels like she needs to force conformity of all who are in the unit, right? Submission and conformity. So it becomes a metaphor for the society at large. Meaning, are people trying to force conformity of all the citizens by using laws, police, whatever tools there are in society? So it becomes a metaphor for what can happen in a society where power can be, and most teachers will say, English teachers will say, power can be abused to force a conformity or submission. You see what I'm saying? So what is happening now with Black Lives Matter trying to force everybody to agree to oppose racism is like Nurse Ratched trying to force McMurphy to conform to her rules. It is absolutely doomed to failure. Every English teacher who's taught Cuckoo's Nest know that any movement by Black Lives Matter to nationally force everyone to oppose racism is 100% guaranteed to fail. There is not even 0.00001% chance of success. Because we all read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, those of us who've read it, and we have discussed this issue, the concept of trying to force a conformity. In the book, what happens, and most English teachers may even use this term, McMurphy becomes a martyr. Nurse uses her profession, her power, to recommend a lobotomy, to cut his brain, to force him to force him to submit, because he wouldn't submit. Because she's identified his maleness as a mental illness. He's just being a typical male in many ways. You know, like every classroom has a male like McMurphy, like an alpha male. It's part of the male world, or they may have more than one alpha male. But women often don't like alpha males because of, especially if they have to like engage in a kind of a structured control. You know, and that's what's happening. The white males in America are like McMurphy. They're all similar in the sense that they don't want to be made into slaves. And you're telling them you have to reject racism and you're going to use force to do it, like Nurse Ratched. You think this is going to end well? In the story, she forces him to have a lobotomy that he doesn't want. And so there is a bittersweet ending in the sense like she's won and he's lost, but she didn't really win. So, because what happens to the Indian guy, Native American guy, at the end of the story? Do you remember? Did she succeed in controlling the unit at the end of the story? Because she got him lobotomized? Do you see what I'm saying? You create more problems by coercion than solving it. When you try to force everybody to oppose racism, you are creating more problems for yourself than solving it. And you're going to experience social unrest of magnitude that you have not imagined possible because of it, and that's coming. As I said, I'm afraid what's going to happen to the black people in America. They're only 10% of the population. What you should do is just seek justice. Seek justice. You don't have to like force people to be non-racist. Jesus was a racist, I told you. You know, Jesus did not have any racism. He did not fight racism in the gospel. He did not teach us to fight racism. You create more problems by engaging in fights that you should not be engaging in. You think that's important. That's you. Obviously, Jesus did not think it was important. If Jesus thought it was important to fight racism, he would have fought racism. But because fighting racism was not important to Jesus, he did not fight racism at all. In fact, he used racial slurs and he acted as a racist person, bigoted person in the Bible. He embraced racism, Jesus Christ. He doesn't think it's wrong. Just because you think it's wrong doesn't make it wrong. You're not God. And One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest should teach you a serious lesson of society. And that's why I'm saying President Trump is a tragic figure because he should not have listened to his daughter. And she may be his destruction. He should not have moved his rally from Friday to Saturday for any reason, because you don't want to make your campaign event supporters second best. That's the easiest way to lose them. You see what I'm saying? It's not like you're going to get black voters because you moved it to Saturday. And you're going to lose millions of white voters in a televised national event. You know how many white people are in Oklahoma? There is no excuse for that not being full. A lot of Oklahoma people have no problem with COVID. They would have gone. But they refused to go in this white state, Oklahoma, because he moved the date to Saturday. It just offended them. Do you know how offended white people can get, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant? I know because I feel like sometimes it's irrational, but I know because I had my best friend is white, Ed Mosang, and he was telling me about his aunt who was so offended that she did not get a wedding invitation. She not only did not go to the wedding, she did not talk to her cousin for like 20 years. And I'm like, maybe the invitation got lost in the mail. Why don't you just call and ask? But she's not going to do it. This is like white Anglo-Saxon Protestant world. Even though the mail could have been lost in the mail, And Mosang's aunt thought it wasn't her responsibility to check to see whether her cousin sent the invite. Do you see what I'm saying? There's an unspoken protocol, and she thought it was the responsibility of her cousin to ensure that she received it. And she's not even going to call her to talk about it. Because she was offended she didn't get it. And she wouldn't talk to her for 20 years because she feels she was slighted. And they're cousins. They're like supposed to be really close cousins. So why does President Trump think white people feel slighted by having their event moved to next day to accommodate black people? And we're talking about racists in Oklahoma, right? Why do you assume that white racists who were offended that their event was moved to the next day? They cleared out their schedule for Friday. Now they have to clear out their schedule for Saturday on such a short notice. Why do you think they're going to vote for you? Because President Trump has lost touch with reality. They're not going to vote for you. Those people who couldn't go to that, who decided not to go to their rally, they probably won't vote at all. They probably won't vote for Biden. They're not going to vote for you. See what Ivanka Trump is doing? Ivanka Trump is destroying your life. Yeah. I would fire Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner like now. Try to put, because she's going to make mistake after mistake all the way to November, and you're going to lose by a landslide. I wouldn't listen to anything Ivanka Trump says if I were you, because, how much can she know? She converted to Judaism from like Presbyterianism. She converted from dominant religion to like a minority religion that puts her in an inferior position in American society. Somebody who's that idiotic in her decision-making skills is not to be trusted. I wouldn't trust Ivanka Trump with any decision I make if I were her father. Because, we're talking about a life decision like that completely destroys your situation in terms of the majority of Americans. It might have worked when you're just like with a bunch of billionaires or Jewish or whatever in New York, but it doesn't work in America. America is 2% are Jews, 98% are not Jews. It's not going to work at the national level. What happens in socialite settings in New York among billionaires is not America. See that? You can't lose touch with reality. Yeah, and that's the problem, right? President Trump is trusting Ivanka. That's the biggest mistake he made in his life. And obviously, it's his Achilles heel because it's his little princess. But people die because of their Achilles heel. Like Achilles. Watch the movie Troy. Yeah. With Brad Pitt. But Angelina Jolie isn't there, though. Now, so one way people deal with pain is Stoicism. And obviously, the nurse felt pain because she felt slighted by McMurphy. How women feel about being slighted by men. You know how they are. Yeah, it's all the same. It's been like that in the past. It will be like that in the future. Same old, same old. And then they just try to get back at you, using institutions or whatever for power. Same old, same old. Yeah. So we've all read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and we all know what Nurse Ratched does. So nurses who think that Americans have a very positive perception of nurses, they're totally mistaken. Unless you do an opinion poll with all 330 million Americans, I assure you, predominant perception of nurses is negative, not positive. Because, what do you think English teachers talk about when they read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? How great nursing profession is? Why do you think a lot of people don't want to become nurses in America? Because there's a stereotype against nurses as being like Nurse Ratched, like unbending, right? Using the power against you, assuming everybody has a mental illness. These are like stereotypes. that they have. That's why many Americans don't want to become a nurse, because they are part of socialization process that involves this book, which is a phenomenal book that is a metaphor for coercion in American society. That is wrong. And Nurse Ratched is the symbol of the coercion that is wrong. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. People who are like outside of reality, like general American population, don't always understand how general American population see certain things, whether it's Jews, whether it's black people, if you're white people. I'm Asian, but I'm putting myself in the perspective of white people, how white people would view black people. You have to be able to see things from other people's perspectives. But that's something that majority of the people cannot do. Majority of the people can only see things from their own perspective. And perhaps that's the problem, right? And also another problem is Keisha Bottoms, mayor of Atlanta, probably doesn't know that she's being a Nurse Ratched. She's like being a Nurse Ratched with Atlanta police officers. Yeah, like Atlanta police officers are like McMurphy. It's not going to end well. I assure you, it's not going to end well. Yeah. So, but for her, avoiding pain is by using coercion, right? But in a stoic way. And stoic individuals can be ruthless, but they always get killed, you know, because nobody wants to be forced to do anything. And stoics think like as long as we are being rational, we use virtue, we could force people to do things. Like, oh, I'm using the code of ethics, so I could force you to do whatever you want. It's kind of like that. And stoic people are like that. They're like, I'm virtuous, I'm using virtue, code of ethics, so I could tell you what to do using social justice principles. Yeah, it doesn't end well. Other way people deal with pain is what Aristotle said, and it's also Greek philosophy like Stoicism, but a different brand of Greek philosophy. Aristotle said, learning is not child's play. We cannot learn without pain. It's such a male thing to say. We cannot learn without pain. So you have these police officers using their clubs, chokeholds, you know, to make sure you learn. And then you have flip side of that, black people burning police cars because they're trying to inflict pain on police officers. You know, yeah, that's how you have wars. You know, tit for tat. You know, it goes back and forth. Yeah. So sometimes people try to avoid pain or deal with pain by inflicting pain on others. So there's similarity in Stoicism and Aristotelian ways of dealing with pain in the sense like you use some form of violence, but it's different. Because in Stoicism, they will use institutions and authority that are structured, and their rationale, reason for forcing people to do what they want to do, don't want to do, is that it's like ethical thing to do, or it's a social justice thing to do. So Nurse Ratched, any kind of code of ethics, anything like social justice people, you know, they're like Stoics. They're like, I'm ethical, I'm using reason, therefore I have the right to force people to do what they don't want to do. That's Stoicism. Aristotelianism is like, you know, you just inflict pain. You think people will learn if you inflict pain. So it's a little bit different, but it may look similar on certain levels, but Aristotelian ways can actually be anti-institutional because they're willing to break rules to inflict pain in order to teach you a lesson. So it's a little bit different, you know. So Stoicism works within institutions and follows rules and regulations and tries to use coercion within the structure. Aristotelianism, not so much. It could be, but they're willing to go outside of the structure. Now you have President Trump. He's in a class of his own, but I would argue he his way of dealing with pain and suffering is what I would call entrepreneurism. And the quote by the founder of McDonald's explains it well. If you're not a risk taker, you should get the hell out of business. And as you know, President Trump is a self-made man, and he subscribed to the entrepreneurial ethics, and that is take risks, take more risks until you succeed. But remember, President Trump went bankrupt 3 times. So the problem with entrepreneurial ethics is you have 3 failures to 4 successes for those who are successful. And for those who are unsuccessful, you have 4 failures to 3 successes. Do you see what I mean? You're like 1 success away from failure or success. Like you're 1 move away from success or failure. So it is very risky to follow an entrepreneurial system. And anybody who's an entrepreneur who's started a project have seen a project fail. So 3 projects will fail while 4 projects succeed, or 4 projects succeed while 3 projects fail. And that's what determines whether you become a millionaire or billionaire or you become bankrupt. You see what I'm saying? And so President Trump took a risk really well in 2016 and he won. But I think he made a wrong move in giving Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner a position in White House that they have right now. I think that was the biggest mistake that President Trump made. I think it would have been safer for Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, and President Trump had Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner kind of stayed in the real estate business in New York. Because I don't see any way that Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner are helping President Trump in any way. I only see like lose-lose proposition. I mean, Ivanka Trump cannot even get Jewish people to support President Trump, which is like the greatest asset potential for marrying a Jew. I mean, you should be able to get at least all of his people to support you. That's the whole point. Like, when kingdoms, you saw Game of Thrones, right? The reason you marry one kingdom princess to another kingdom prince is so that those 2 kingdoms will support you when you go to war. What good is a marriage alliance if the other people don't support you despite the marriage? I mean, the marriage was meaningless from a Game of Thrones perspective. So, do you see what I'm saying? And that's the tragedy. I mean, if you can't even get all the Jewish people, or you can't get all of them, but if you can't even get majority of the Jewish people to support you, what good was your daughter's wedding from the perspective of Game of Thrones? Right? I mean, you should recognize right away the marriage is not helping your kingdom at all. Kingdom Trump. But you should cut your losses and not give her a prominent place in your kingdom. Don't you think that's the rational thing to do? Because if her husband's people don't even support you, then you want to hide that fact. Because that's a weakness that you don't want your enemies to see. Right? And it's a weakness you don't want your supporters to see. Because as we have seen in Game of Thrones, it's a cutthroat world in the Game of Thrones. Everybody's trying to have power, and any sign of weakness can destroy you. Right? And alliances are forged or fail based on perceived strength and perceived weaknesses. I mean, you should learn something when you watch TV shows like Game of Thrones. You know, I mean, I'm a historian, so I'm always looking for historical factors, you know. I'm professionally trained that way. So, you know, it's like every time I see something, I try to see cause and effect. I mean, for me, it makes the entertainment value that much richer, that much better. But I realize that not everybody sees things from a professional historian's perspective like I do. And that's why this show is so crucial, because I provide you with historical perspective as an expert that you do not see. Yeah. President Trump is making a lot of failures right now. You think that America is stable? You think that white people in America think that it's a good idea that would destroy racism? Are you kidding me? You think people just change? That's so funny. You think that people just change because you want them to? Oh my gosh, what world are you living in? You know, they say Disney World in Orlando is opening up tomorrow. Maybe that's the world you gotta go to, like a fake world. You know, Magic Kingdom. You know, because you're not seeing the reality in real kingdom. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to do a cheer for my CNL members, you know, because I love every one of them, you know, like 25 of you. I love you guys. And we finished, well, we're finishing in August, but we got pinned already. So I'd like to celebrate our pinning ceremony. Pin, 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 pin. Yay, we're pinned. 2020 CNL, 2020 CNL, Georgetown University Clinical Nurse Leader Program. 2020, pin, pin, pin. 2020, pin, pin, pin. Yay! Congratulations to you. Congratulations to me. Congratulations to us. Yay! As you know, I have a sick premonition that, like sick feeling in my stomach that, you know, one of our core members will get COVID and die. Today, we hit an all-time high in new COVID cases in Virginia. About 1,000 cases. And they said it's the first time we hit that in like over a month. So we're now definitely in second peak in Virginia. Obviously, South Carolina and North Carolina has over 1,000 like every day. So we're headed there in the direction of South Carolina and North Carolina, which are kind of, their hospitals are filled up, and, you know, they're having problems with that already. But, you know, North Carolina, South Carolina is going toward like 2,000-3,000, you know, so situation is getting far worse there. Yes, I feel like, you know, several of them are gonna, like, at least one or two will die by end of August. Hopefully I'm wrong. It's like a premonition, so it's like a sick feeling in your stomach that you have, you know. But in honesty, I can't say congratulations for all of us graduating in August 2020, because I think one or two will die. So I think there will be like 24 or 23. You know, because, you know, when you're dead, you're dead. And they'll die before they get their degree. Because it's a month is a long time, you know. So I feel, you know, I feel bad for them. Yeah, but, you know, what can you do, you know? Maybe I'm wrong. I hopefully I'm wrong, and then nobody will die. But let's see, you know, we'll see what happens. Yeah. But, you know, the last one is like carpe diem, right? Epicureanism. And Epicurus, who is the founder of Epicureanism, says, death does not concern us. Because as long as we exist, death is not here. Well, which makes sense, right? If you're not dead, you're here. Death doesn't exist for you personally because you're still alive. And once it does come, that is death, we no longer exist. Well, that makes sense, right? I mean, you know, right? I mean, what's irrational there? right? Epicurus is absolutely rational, right? When you're existing, death is, you're not dead. Once you die, then you don't exist. Makes perfect sense. Some people say, well, that has given rise to heathenism, enjoy life. Obviously, those who are opposed to enjoying life say, well, if you go and do stuff that you should not do, enjoying life, you may die earlier. So you will cease to exist earlier than had you not done all those risky stuff. Well, situation is a little bit different now. We have a COVID-19 that's like just going around killing a lot of people. So, especially if you have children who are going to go to school, every day is a risky day for you. You get COVID from your child and die. So the situation I would say is a little bit different during pandemic, especially if the schools open up. So I would argue you should expect to die in by Christmas. If you're over 40 and you have asthma or diabetes or some kind of condition, and you have a child who's going to go to school every day. And that's why I think you should go with your child and your family to the beach tomorrow. Every Saturday of the summer, if you can. Because you're going to die anyway, most likely. I mean, if you don't die, great, but most likely you're going to die from COVID. So you do need to leave some good memories behind for your child that you love, who may survive, who may die, but he may survive or she may survive. That in which case you want some good memories. So make sure you take a lot of photos. Photos are very important, right? So and take photos of like happy moments. So your child has something to remember you by if you die like at age 40 before Christmas due to COVID. So yeah, I'd say enjoy yourself. As I recommend that don't go inside anywhere when you're at the beach. If you're gonna buy food at the beach, buy at the curbside, have them bring it out to you. Wear your mask when you're talking and try not to talk to anybody. Eat the food in the beach with your family to minimize any kind of risk to getting COVID. Then you should be able to go every Saturday to Virginia Beach or to Ocean City, Maryland, and have fun with your child through this summer without getting COVID. Yeah, your chance of getting COVID outside in the beach is like zero if you follow close to it, if you follow all the precautions. The risk is when the school opens up and you're inside a little classroom for 8 hours a day. That's risky. But yeah, but what can you do? Death is coming in the fall. So enjoy now. So at least Epicurus has a point, You don't want to die leaving your child a memory of you not having any fun during the summer before your death. Right? Because it's perfectly safe for you to go to the beach and have fun or play tennis, go bicycling with your child tomorrow. I mean, there are things you can do perfectly safely outside. Outside is safe. As long as you don't as long as you take precautions. Yeah, so you should do fun stuff with your child. You have a child, right? Yeah, so I would encourage that. But anyhow, yeah. So I march for your life. I march for the life of unborn. I created this show because I believe that marching for your life is important. Yeah. So Harry is giving me that look like you're so profound. I love, the writer of Harry Potter stories, that's like the greatest gift that she gave to the world, the books. And her books are really wholesome. And I know that like some LGBTQ people in America, they want to push LGBTQ like pro-gay books on your children, and so they like that more. As I said, our public school system is a mess. Your children are being brainwashed, from elementary, middle, and high school to read like pro-LGBTQ books by their English teachers. It's a serious problem in America. So you should definitely pray for that, and you should definitely fight against it in your school district. Any kind of trying to push LGBTQ rights, you should fight against it. Because, as you know, if your children become LGBTQ, they go to eternal damnation in hell. You don't want that. So, yeah, make sure you teach your children well so they don't fall into that evil, as Romans chapter 1 said. Yeah, and so, yeah, right now, LGBTQ public school teachers are the greatest threat to the health of our nation and the future of our children. I mean, it's far greater threat than COVID-19. So I personally think it's a blessing that public schools closed down. And in a sense, it's a show of God's love for your children to close down the schools, so your children are not brainwashed by these LGBTQ plus teachers who try to persuade them to have sex change operation or try gay sex. So, in a sense, it's a show of God's love for you and your children, right? Because if they try gay sex, they're going to throw damnation in hell. So, yeah. So I mean, yes, it's killing a lot of people. It is a judgment of God, but on the other side, it's a blessing of God, because now you can teach your children what's in the Bible, right? And help them to kind of follow the Bible. So, yeah, yeah. So for me, there's a good and bad in everything, and so yeah. But make sure you have fun time with your kids, because you may die in the fall from COVID. Because unfortunately, President Trump is like hell bent on opening schools, which means I'm predicting millions of Americans will die during the flu season. And I bet that he got that advice from Ivanka Trump. Yeah, I mean, it's the stupidest decision that I've seen President Trump make in the 4 years. It's probably Jared Kushner's idea. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I care about your life. I want you to live. That's why I don't want you to get COVID, and that's why I'm opposing President Trump. His decision to push opening of schools. I think he's absolutely wrong. And I hope that you oppose President Trump's push to reopen schools as well, because your life is important to me. Your life should be important to you too. I hope President Trump changes his mind. Because I like President Trump. I voted for him in 2016. As long as he's against LGBTQ rights, I'll vote for him again in 2020. Yes, I mean, I hope he would turn this thing around. But, as you know, I'm taking my clinical nurse leader exam next week, and that's a national certification exam. I've been in a 2-year program with clinical nurse leader core 2020. Pin, 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 pin. We're pin, yay! Yeah. So I want to make sure that I give you advice to protect your life. That's the right thing to do. So other things take a second seat. Economy is not as important to me as your life. I think you being alive is far more important than economy. And so that I'm just going to come out there and say it. Yeah, and yeah. So I think it's President Trump is a entrepreneur, and so is Jared Kushner, and he needs to get somebody who's more normal than like Jared Kushner, like somebody who could think like majority of Americans. That's the only way he has a chance of winning in the election in November. You can't make stupid decisions like forcing everybody to open schools and win the election in November, because a lot of people are going to die. They're not going to vote for you when their children's dead. I'm just being a common sense person here. I think President Trump is being like a President Hoover. I think he's becoming more and more like President Hoover, like Hoovervilles. Like you know what President Hoover was like, and history always repeats itself. President Trump has a chance to become a Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he had 4 terms as president. I believe President Trump could have 4 terms as president if he were a little bit more like Delano Roosevelt, like printing more money, helping pay for rent and food by cutting checks for American citizens, just to, kind of ride the difficult times, not opening schools unnecessarily that would result in death, then, I would think he would be reelected in November without any problem. And then as national emergency continues, he'll probably be able to have 2 more terms. I think that's what will happen. But because President Trump is making too many mistakes now, he may be like President Hoover, uh, and go down in history like it's President Hoover. You don't, you can't, you have to remember people value their life. People value their children's life. You can't be like President Hoover, because, Hooverville's President Trump, like, just centralized, money and economy, and look at what happened to him. You don't want to go in that situation. So I hope President Trump will turn his time back now. I don't know, because he has too many people who are executives, entrepreneurs in his Trump team, and that is his Achilles heel, because they can't think like ordinary people. Yeah, so that may be his downfall. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I don't want to end in a, you know, sour note, I mean, but I do need to tell President Trump to change his mind so that he doesn't lose this election like by landslide. So yeah. So I would encourage you to go to the beach. Yeah. So yeah, you should bring a beach ball, because you can play, you can play with your children. You have, those paddles with the ball. You can play like paddle and ball. I like to play that. You have 2 paddles and 1 ball, and you stand like on the sand, and you kind of hit the ball around with the paddle. I don't think they allow you to do that in Virginia Beach or Ocean City, but that's always fun, right? Obviously, you're at a distance. There's no problem there. And then you could like toss a beach ball like this, which is like nice and soft, to your kids, and toss it back and forth. You can bring a Nerf football. Yeah, and I don't know if you could fish, but if you could fish, you could bring like fishing rod. And this is Mindy and Mandy. Maybe you could explore the marine life. Yeah. So I hope you have a lot of fun tomorrow with your children, especially because this may be your last summer with your children if you die of COVID-19 in the fall. So yeah, make the best of your time. Yeah, because you love your children and your children love you. Yeah. So don't forget what's really important in your life. Um, yeah, so I will bring you more important stuff tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Yeah, and I hope that you have a nice, fun day at the beach tomorrow with your children, and have a lot of fun. Make sure you take my advice. You don't have to, obviously, you do what you want, but I recommend you take my advice so that you survive COVID. But yeah, have a lot of fun. Take a lot of photos. Put them up on your Facebook account, Instagram, um, or Twitter. Yeah, celebrate your family and all the love that you share. And then I'll see you back tomorrow. So I hope that you'll be well and that your family will be well too. See you tomorrow. Bye.